Please remain seated.
Welcome back to another episode of Laugh Your Way to the Top. Today's guest is Chris Dagle, and of course, I'm Austin Fain.
Hello.
Chris Dagle is our operations manager here, and also our graphic designer, and our Mr. Fix-It. He's in charge of inventory. He's in charge of cars. He's in charge of people and deliveries and all the other good stuff that you have to deal with when you run a roofing company. Chris Dagle, welcome to the podcast, buddy.
Hola, senor.
Thank you for bringing me apple
Cheers.
juice. Thank you.
Name brand apple juice.
Ah, that's good. So, bud, your first podcast.
Yeah.
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 And you were nervous about coming on in the beginning, and then you wrapped your head around it, and it wasn't a big deal.
When you said that, it was weird because Mari, I talked to him, and he was like a little nervous, and I was like, "Oh no, it's not a big deal, man. You just go and chat, and like it's whatever."
Is this your buddy Austin?
Yeah, I mean, we
Austin.
sit here and drink apple juice all the time.
Right. And
So-
so there's no real big difference, and I think that after you get like an hour into it, it's just like, oh, I get it.
I mean, you become more mellow at the more apple juice you drink.
Yeah, and we go way back. Not pre me and Jimmy, unless you count that we went to the same school, which I don't think that we knew each other then, or knew of each other then.
Well,
but
we played rugby. Oh no, we didn't because you were a year above me,
I was a year above you.
and I played my senior.
I think I
year.
knew about you when you were the senior there.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we obviously played rugby in college together. Then we played on the men's team,
Yep.
and that was a weird.
I'm not
sound.
sure.
Yeah, that's like almost a
someone breaking
rattlesnake or
there?
something like that. And then we kind of had a break after I left rugby and started.
I think you were
Perfect
selling
Steel.
I think you were selling cars at that point.
I was still playing rugby off and on when I was
Were
selling
you?
cars.
Because
it was harder because they had work Saturdays and stuff, so there wasn't like a bunch of Saturdays that I could.
Because it was weird. Because like we played rugby, and then like me, you, and Harry hung out all the time,
Yeah,
like consistently all the time.
yeah.
And then I feel like that's always been
You
how
went
my
off
life
after-
goes, depending
after
on where.
college. You went off to do. What did you do? Manage restaurants and things like that.
Yeah.
And then that's when, at the same time, I think I was doing cars, and then I started this. Then you met your beautiful wife, who hopefully I get her on the podcast at some point.
No,
But she
probably
is,
after the baby.
she is our if we had a CFO, she'd be the CFO.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we had a CFO.
It's pretty cool because like whenever people ask me like, "Hey, what do you do?" It's like I run everything on like install and operational wise, and she runs everything else.
Yeah, I mean that's a good way to split it up.
I mean, it's like, and then you're just like the massive brain among everything else.
and it's weird you say brain because I'm
Well-
more of a just
like,
punch
me
your
and her
way
are half
through
a brain.
everything. You know, like I'll just figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't really have that where you would need like a nice knife, like a nice sharp knife. I'm just a butter knife, just hacking my way through it, and I just
But
don't
you
stop.
cut through any steak you can find. It just takes you longer.
Your wife, she's pregnant now with your second child,
Having a boy.
having a boy this time. Could be done. You had a girl the first time, boy the second time. You could be
Bro,
done.
it's so weird because I've always, in my head, so like I've always wanted to be a dad, ever since I was a son, I guess. I always wanted to be a dad, and so that was just I always knew that's what I wanted to do, and like after this first one, I mean she's so easy, and like I don't even like talking about it to people because it's like everybody else that I know who has kids, I mean, your kid had major fucking surgeries upon surgeries.
and we thought maybe yours was gonna have one too.
What? She just couldn't breathe. What an idiot.
But like
I'm like, come on, you're. She was a 10 pounds, 2 ounces.
10 pounds. Sierra is ruined.
And she was in, it was C-section.
Oh, that's good.
So she has a scar, but
Yeah. Take that.
but she was in NICU. She weighed
10 pounds
three
in
or
the NICU.
3 or 4 times.
You weighed 3 times as much as that. That baby weighed 3 times as much as every other baby in the
Bro,
NICU.
it was wild. I hated being in NICU. And like they were like, well, she can't drop down, can't drop pounds or ounces, I guess at that point. You can't drop under 20% or something. So whatever the number was, I'm like,
so you had to pump her full of muscle milk. You know,
yeah, I'm like, motherfucker, like, she is huge.
That's a small dog.
We had brand new clothes for her in the hospital.
Nah, it didn't fit.
No, those were someone donated clothes, but they were never used before because all the kids are this big.
Yeah.
So, but
yeah, I was giving. I didn't gift. She deserved. I took Sierra out and got her your wife.
Kind of like a bonus.
Kind of like a bonus. It's just a nice little perk that she's never had a company car.
Huge.
All the other managers have a company car, and so it was about time to do that. But
and you're modest, so you say little, but that's a big deal.
When we look at it, I was like, it made sense. But looking at all these cars, went to CarMax. Shout out CarMax if you want to give a sponsorship. But
if not, Carvana,
of the 35,000 cars or whatever they have in their network, and I basically called you before and I was like, what does she need? And I was like, need third row, need blah, blah, leather, something like that. And then I went and made sure that it had adaptive cruise control and I made sure all that stuff. And
all the safety shit.
And I was like, she was worried about the third row really hard. And I'm like, why are you so worried about this third row? Like, we're getting an SUV. There's going to be a third row, but like how big the third row is?
Family.
She goes, well, what if I have another baby? Then what am I going to do? I was like, I don't drive the Focus. I don't know what you're gonna do. Like, that's a lot of car seats. Yes, so yeah, you haven't had this one yet, and you're always like, well, what if I'm like,
well, those car seats are like $500.
How about you slow roll it, and we can get some lifespan out of this car, maybe a couple of years before we have to trade up. And so I thought that was funny that that she was thinking like that far, and that shows you how responsible she is.
But what was her
because
second
I'd have
thought?
been like, what?
Her second thought was, that was her first thought, Mrs. Responsible. Her second thought was, how am I going to drive my drunk husband and all his friends around town?
Yeah, I don't know if you think that's not responsible. That's so responsible.
Well, I guess that's true.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably more responsible.
That's probably more responsible. She's like, I really have to have 8 people to fit in this fucking van because, like, I pick up a lot of drunk people.
I really have 8 friends.
I was like, are you Ubering on the weekends? Like, is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, you can't Uber in a company vehicle.
Yeah, you can't. You got to quit. You got to quit that.
That's what happened with old girl. Remember, she got in an accident doing Uber Eats.
Yes. Yeah. I had a. I thought it was a funny. Well, you can talk about that story. So I give company vehicles away like it's going out of business.
Yeah.
And
every 3 months.
I had a lady that worked for us. Did a really nice job for a while.
Great employee.
Yeah, really nice job for a while. And she was going through hard times. Car got broken into, some crazy stuff. And anyway, she needed a car. She worked from home, but I still felt the need to like help her out. And so I gave her, the most modest car that we had at the time.
I think she went home during COVID though. I think she worked here, didn't she? Or did she not work here at all?
She worked up in here until a point, and then I don't remember if it was COVID or just she couldn't get couldn't get her kids off the bus or whatever the thing was. I work with people anyway.
Yep.
And I gave her a car, and I was like, no worries. And then her work just kept dropping off, and then we could never she would not answer at the certain times, and like I got a call one day, or no, I didn't get a call. I think Sierra got the phone call of a mall cop called her and was like, hey, your car just hit my patrol vehicle, whatever.
In my golf cart.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. And I call her and
knocked my lights off.
And I was like, he's like, yeah, she was Uber eating and she backed up the vehicle. And I go, what's her name? And it wasn't her name. And I was like, who's driving the car? And it was her 15-year-old unlicensed, uninsured daughter. Hope my insurance company isn't looking to this. And they were doing phone calls while Uber eating using my company vehicle.
No, she was at home.
No, she was in the mall.
Oh, really?
And the daughter was Uber eating while she was getting her phone fixed or doing something like that. And so I finally, I didn't know that she was Uber eating. It was very likelihood that she was doing Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever the hell.
She had 3 orders in her back.
And she had a bunch of stuff. And she was like, we got stuff. She was out in the parking lot so long that we got stuff delivered to the parking lot. And I go, I don't think they do that. I mean, I've never tried to DoorDash something to a parking lot, but
or like some real super secluded area, like in the woods.
Yeah, it's like that's weird.
40
and so
paces
I had her
woods.
come in here, and me and Sarah sat down and with her, and we're like, hey, there was mistakes made. Shouldn't let your daughter drive. No, it's the first time. Always first time. Okay.
Never habitual.
And there's this thing about using the company car for DoorDash and stuff. There's like 40 more thousand miles in like 6 months. By the way, she works at home. You're like, it's a lot of miles.
Where are you going?
Boy. And we're like, just to clear all this up so we don't have to have this conversation anymore, if you're not DoorDashing, show me your DoorDash app. Because the same app that the people use to deliver the goods, you use to order. And I was like, just show me your
let me see
account.
Not a big deal. Shouldn't be a big deal.
She started bringing it up. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad that she wasn't doing it. And she goes, you know what? I'm out. I'm like, what? And she's like, no, you guys don't trust me. I'm like, we're back to square one. Like, if you just show me, like, we're good.
Correct. We don't trust you. You let your 16-year-old drive into a security van.
Yeah. And so,
like,
that was a weird with company vehicles.
But dude, that happens all the time.
What?
Right? I wouldn't say all the time, but I mean, think about how many employees bend the rules or take advantage or, I mean, it happens, right? I mean, that's not the only time that you've been kind of screwed by an employee before. I mean, when I first started, I fired that one dude because he was filling up his own gas tank on the weekends.
Who's that?
Hefe.
Oh yeah. I don't know what we fired for. He was out the door anyway. But yeah. I mean, I'm sure subvertly people are doing things that are on the DL not a good thing. Yeah. But we can't watch all these people. How many we have 27 company cars. Like, or 27 units. 27 total units between trailers and company cars.
Is that it?
27.
I always told people 40.
Yeah, it seems like 40. But I'm like, you never know. But
even little things like on the way to a job stopping off, you don't need gas. You stop at a gas station to get food, and you sit in the parking lot and eat. We've had problems with that before.
I've thought about it. Let's just take that subject, and like I've been thinking about it a lot. I love my crews, whether it's window or roofing or whatever. I love my crews. Now it becomes like they drive back at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have a full tank of gas. So the first thing they do in the morning, they all load up and they all go to a gas station and they get food and they fill up and go. Mm-hmm. And like, I'm trying to think like that's probably okay because they have to stop anyway.
Correct.
But on the days that I go stop and fill it up when they don't know, they still stop.
Correct.
And I'm like,
or they stop at a gas station,
and they're not clocking out. Is the big thing.
Yeah.
It's like they're not.
Yeah, I mean, I
out.
don't care if you eat. You can take a 3-hour lunch.
Right.
I don't care. Just I'm not going to pay you for a 3-hour lunch.
What do you think about them being on the job sites and having to go to the bathroom? Do you stay clocked in?
So
feelings.
I think they should clock out, but I think there's a healthy balance, and that's the hard part because if you give a certain amount of leeway, they'll take that and just run to the fucking hills. So it's like you have to balance the regulations so they don't they don't feel like pressed under a fucking whatever, and they don't take it and run with it. So I mean, I think that if you have to leave the job site to go take a piss, because some of these job sites are 30 minutes away from
a gas station.
And whether this is right or not, if you're in the middle of nowhere, find a tree. Or go in the back of the truck and pee in a bottle like a trucker.
Yeah, except that we don't let people pee on the job site.
No.
Like you go you can go to a national park and do whatever you want.
Public property, not private.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot of times if you knock on the door, there's very few homeowners that are going to be like, when you say, dude, I have to take a shit or I have to take a piss, whatever, they're not going to say, sorry.
Tough.
I mean, if they do, that's an L, but like...
Most of our customers are pretty cool. But I always wondered about that. I don't think about it a lot until it aggravates me. But like being able to try to figure out all those people.
Well, because it adds up. And I mean, that's a big part of what I think is my job too, is like, one employee driving the company truck 15 minutes to take a leak, one time isn't a big deal. But 10 times a month with 4 employees a time times 4 crews is a lot more money
Yeah.
throughout the whole year. So it's like a little deal in one scenario is.
And I hate to be so tough on them because they're 20 foot up on ladders.
Oh,
and
so
dude,
solid.
it's so hot.
Everybody we have right now.
It's so hot. And it's like, God, I really don't want to be a dick about it at all. Like, I really don't want to be a dick. If it's getting done, then I guess it's not a problem.
And it's something that, you know, to a point you can, I mean, no matter what the waste is, whether it's waste of product or labor waste or whatever, you just add that into your cost of goods sold. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just like dunnage, for example. That's another thing. The amount of care that Jason has for dunnage is hilarious. And I make fun of him too, so whatever. But it's like today he's like, we only got 7 pieces of dunnage. I was like, we got to make more. And it's like, you know, it sucks that we make 80 pieces of dunnage every 3 months and it goes lost. But in retrospect, it's less than $5,000 a year.
So dunnage is like the wood that we put underneath the metal when we go deliver, and we stack the metal like flapjacks on the trailer, and we make special dunnage so that the material doesn't get damaged and it's very easy to pick up and put down.
Put straps underneath,
and we drop it off at the job site on the dunnage. It's just simple wood structure, but they don't come back for whatever reason.
Dude,
so I thought coming up with a system.
Yeah.
I got a new system.
I'm here for it. Let's hear it.
They can't turn in a job unless they turn in the dunnage.
Or we put a price tag on the dunnage.
No, because that's too hard to be like all that stuff. But they can't get paid for the job. Or, you know, in the equivalent of, you know, in-house crews, like they can't turn in the job to get bonuses or anything like that until I have equal amount of. If they turn in, like, we'll have a special barrel that no one else can put stuff in, right? We'll have 2 basically, but like when they come back, if there's not, they turned in 5 jobs this week. If there's not 10 pieces of dunnage in there, then we have a problem. They don't get.
Then we just have to charge them for it.
Yeah,
or,
then you charge them for it or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. No, that I was just.
We
telling
get a
Jason
couple of those big, like they use for firewood, steel racks or whatever like that, and that's what we do.
Yep.
You know, we label one Mari's crew, one Norm's crew, and then, you know, we'll go through them every week.
Well, and believe me,
we lock them.
Jason would love to keep track of that.
Yeah, we'll lock them up so that way they can't Jason can't come by and take a couple pieces out because
they're constantly rotating them, right? So,
right.
I mean, it would be hard to not cherry pick. You would just have to have 2 set. You would have to have these are the ones you use to load the truck. These are the ones that we're gonna move after we do a count on them.
It's just amazing how many we don't get back. It is an amazing number. I probably spent over $10,000 on dunnage
a year.
Easy.
I was gonna. You think so? You think 10,000?
It's at
I would
least
say every 3
it's at
months
least
we make
$1,000 worth of wood we buy to make all that dunnage, and I bet we do that 4 or 5 times a year at least.
Yeah, that's what I was.
It's at least that.
Yeah.
It seems like more because it's such an operation to make that, but
yeah. And it really and kind of going back, it's like, do we even charge them for it? Do we even worry about it, or do we just say, for $5,000 a year, we just make dunnage?
Yeah.
You know, we make dunnage and
I just don't want to be wasteful. You know, that's the part of that. It's wasteful. It's not you're talking about.
No, they're throwing it away.
You're talking about materials. That's not the most expensive part every time. Driving there, going to get it, purchasing it, bringing it back here, setting it all up, making it, getting the screws, drilling the holes, do all that kind of stuff. 2 people, almost always. You know, like opportunity cost for them to be able to do other things, like make us money instead of doing that. I wanted to get into, you know, when you, after college basically, and then how you ended up here. That's what I want to get your background in that.
So, like, I always worked in restaurants for a really long time. I mean, I think like most 15, 16-year-olds, maybe not today, but most 15, 16-year-olds worked at Subway as my first job, worked at Culver's. I've had a million jobs. I've tried everything. And you know, once I got into college, I was kind of in between, you know, kind of the more artistic route or the more kind of technical route. I was going to do either architecture or graphic design. And then went the graphic design route because honestly, with rugby and running all that stuff, it took a lot of my time, and that's why I was in college for so long. It was like 6 years. But then I was still doing restaurants. Or I guess when I was in college, once I graduated, I started applying for graphic design jobs.
Right.
And I was like, I love it. You know, I mean, it's fun. You know, with my internship, I liked it a little less. Unfortunately, that was my senior year. Just because sometimes working with clients, they don't know all the artistic background that you know. And so sometimes what they think they want, they shouldn't want when it comes to just basic design and color theory and stuff like that. And so I was applying for jobs, and every job I was applying for, the starting salary was half of what I was making bartending, because I bartended through college. Right. And so I was like, why in the hell? Why would I? First of all, I love working in restaurants. Second of all, I'm making great money. And third, why would I make half the? I don't love it that much. I just don't. And so I continued to bartend. I started, working through restaurants. I finally came to the realization that I didn't want to bartend forever, because kind of going back to the whole family thing is like, I wanted a family at some point. And, some people do a great job balancing bartending and family life.
The hours suck.
Terrible hours.
The hours suck. Everything else is great.
I mean, I was working till 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Like-minded people.
Yeah.
It's always exciting. You get cash on hand every day.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was making, the last 2 years I worked at O'Reilly's, I made like $65,000. And not only that, but IRS, I claimed less than that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I only got taxed on $30,000.
Right.
So it was like I actually made solid money. I was living in a house with 3 other dudes. I paid $250 a month. I mean, I was blowing through. I was like an idiot, blowing through money. Motorcycles, just going out, drinking, eating, doing whatever. And I came to coming to Jesus moment or something, and just said I didn't want to be a bartender forever. Then I went into management. I started managing at a place called Bar 145. That's not open anymore. That's where I met Sierra. And I quickly realized how much less money I made as a manager.
More work.
With way more work.
Way more work.
Way more responsibility.
Way more.
I mean, it wasn't even comparable.
I talked to the guys, like some of the sales guys and the canvassers and stuff like that. I go, listen, guys.
You don't want this.
Y'all really good at this. Y'all killing it. And I'm going to tell you, there's some managers that don't make the amount of money you make, and they don't have to they're not putting in the 30 hours a week that you're putting in. Mm-hmm. Like, they're putting in 60 hours a week and making sometimes not even a half. I go, if you have any talent, you want to ride that train, bro. If everything else is good and the family life is whatever, if you're single, definitely, but don't change anything.
Yeah.
Like, don't. Yeah. One of the worst things you could do is be the top guy or be the top salesperson at a company and want to be a manager.
Yeah.
One, from a company perspective, you're taking the number one hitter out of commission on the basis that maybe he can teach more people to do that.
Which is tough
because you usually have some amount of talent that you can't teach. And then the workload becomes immense. Mm-hmm. At least you got to kind of ramp up and take up responsibilities.
And then you get envious too, because you're not making, as a manager, you're not making as much money.
Oh my gosh!
And then you're training all of your guys to make double the amount.
I talk to Ryan about it all the time.
Yeah, it's not like, wow, what an asshole. It makes sense that you would think that way.
Yeah, and also with like Sierra back in the day, like my office manager, she was like, I need a raise, and I was like, okay, let's talk about it. And I go, what are you basing this on? She goes, I'm writing checks to these people what I make all month. And I go, okay. So what are you basing that off of? She goes, don't you think I deserve that much money? I go, you do if you do that job. So if you want to go do that, we'll shoot you into sales or marketing or whatever, and you can do that. And you'd be way more valuable doing that. If you can bring in what they're bringing in, we can find someone else to balance QuickBooks.
It's just like the NBA, WNBA.
And I think
whoever brings in the most money is getting paid the most amount of money.
I mean, honestly, I mean, it's just like, like people get caught up in that, that everything should be equal and stuff. Like, do that job then. Like, there's a reason why people on the railroad and oil workers, they make ridiculous amount of monies. Go do that.
Yeah, no one's stopping you. Like, it is a free ass country.
Go do that.
Yeah. You want to go lay some brick?
Yeah.
Lay some brick.
You'll make way more than the people working in the office.
Hey.
I guarantee if you know how to build a house and the people that are, sit in the office managing the books, like, they're not going to make as much money. If you know how to build a house, you're going to make more money.
Kind of back to my work history. After I left Bar 145 where I met Sierra, I went to B-Dubs, worked at B-Dubs for a while, for about 2 or 3 years, and I just had enough. I'm like, first of all, talking about management pay, I was making $13.25 an hour at B-Dubs.
Insane.
That is
and no profit sharing, no nothing.
That is unreal. And I was doing
everything.
all the work,
bartending,
for
serving,
all of the other managers,
expo,
because hopefully you can confirm this, but it's like, I am best when I'm super busy. Kind of like you. It's like when I'm super busy, I don't mind doing all the work because my ADD brain is just like, I'm cool. Always dopamine hit for a new thing to fix. And so wherever I'm at, I just learn everything super decently quickly because I want to make sure that if something goes wrong here, something goes wrong there, I'm able to fix it. And so I was doing everything in the restaurant, and then I left there. And do you remember where I went after there?
Concrete. You did concrete.
Yep. All the really high paid people we were talking about. I was making.
To be fair, you made more than you did as a manager at B-Dubs.
Which is crazy. And it's like, I have to keep everything where I was at in my life in different stages is obviously, when you make more money, you want to make more money. That's just the way it is. But I mean, I think I was at 16.25 as an apprentice doing concrete.
Backbreaking work.
And I will put money on any single, maybe not any single, the roofers work their asses off. But almost anybody I know doing concrete for 16 hours a day, 6 days a week will fucking kill you. And I realized when I was working there, when I started there, everyone was like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah.
And I was like,
they could tell you just bought them steel toe boots.
Yeah. Dude, I looked like
they could tell you
it's like those aren't slip resistant fucking Converse that you were wearing in the restaurant. Those are brand new boots. And I didn't have any of the shit I needed. I mean, and I worked hard.
Yeah.
But I felt like I was the only one working hard because all these old heads that I was with were like, fuck this new guy. I'm not going to teach him shit. And I was like, I'm not fucking doing all the goddamn work.
Yeah.
That ain't happening. Not for $16 an hour.
Right. So you had a downfall there. And then
but I was only there for like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, it was short.
And I was like, I'm done.
And then you went back into graphic design finally, right?
I'm trying to think, where the hell did I go?
I think you went back to
I never had a graphic design job.
The A plus or the
High Tech Signs.
High-Tech.
I went to High Tech Signs.
High-Tech
so I was a customer service and install manager there. So I had only
still no graphic design then.
Still no graphic design, but I managed the graphic designers. So I mean, it was kind of applicable, and I liked that job a lot. I'm trying to think. I'm releasing all my page structure throughout the years, but I think what was cool about there was I got hired on my 3rd interview. And Craig, shout out to Craig. He was my direct manager, and he was paying me $40,000. He was like, "We'll just do $40,000 a year," and I was like, "Sounds great." I'm making it'd be 8 to 5. I'm trying to kind of move into that more structured I don't want to fucking be gone all the time, 18-hour days. Sounds good. And then the owner called me back and was like, I talked to Craig. I think we're gonna pay you 42 and then give you a company phone. And I'm like, that's great. I'm like, I already accepted 40, but I mean, this is wonderful. This is like the greatest company I could work for.
Right.
And I was there for a little while.
In that time, I snatched Sierra up.
Yeah, like right then, because I mean, she was working at
Stanley Steamer.
Yeah, Stanley Steamer, just being a confirmer basically.
Yeah.
Doing phone calls, and she was still in school. But
And before that, I snatched you for a moment. You designed our logo.
oh, for the logo, yeah, no.
So that
Which
was
is
pretty
like
cool.
my claim to fame when it comes to the graphic design community. Because I've made a lot of
You
logos
can
for friends.
but none of them has been successful.
No, I mean no, and some of them are like boutique shops and like
Yeah, I mean, I'll bring up our website so you can see the logo so people know what we're talking about.
yeah, I mean it's looking back, it's not. I mean, I still like the logo. You know what I mean? I think it's clean. It's not. It doesn't look like any of the other roofing companies, which I tried hard for, just because it's. I feel like a lot of them have the same kind of look.
Yeah, that's it, right there.
Hell yeah!
Boom. I remember when I started, I was like, I want it to be like a Trump sign. I want it to be like gold and everything
Remember
like
what
that.
I said?
And like, stupid. It won't look good on shirts and blah blah.
You can't print that color.
Yeah.
Like that's like unless you can print it, but it's like 10 times more money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, from what I understand, is you guys are fairly broke, to start.
Yeah, we had no money.
Yeah.
We had no money.
You had some loans out, right?
That didn't come until way after.
Really?
$25,000 from my dad. That's it. No. So I think I paid you like hundreds of dollars, maybe. That was it.
Yeah, I think it was like $400, $500.
$500. Good deal. Good deal.
Hey, I mean,
You tried to work yourself in for a percentage of the company.
You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I was like,
Man, I wish. That was smart though, right? I mean,
It was very
at
smart.
least throw my. I told you even 0.5%. Remember
Yeah.
that? I was
Yeah.
like, I'll take 0.5% and I'll just be your graphic designer. You're like, haha, I'll just pay you a salary, make you do operations, and then still make you do
Yeah.
graphic design.
sucks to suck.
Yeah, fuck your 0.5%.
And then at some point at the graphic design place, at some point
They just irritated me.
it wasn't worth it. And then somebody talked to you from here. It wasn't me. It wasn't my idea to bring you on at all.
No, you didn't want me on.
I didn't think it was good. I don't want to jeopardize my relationship with your wife. That sounds weird.
Yeah.
And so I was like,
well, and what's weird is like
we were still in our infancy. Like, it could have not worked out too. I'm like, I don't know if
she
both
was
are-
coming
yeah.
home multiple times a week and saying, I'm gonna fucking kill that motherfucker. And I'm like, I'm not gonna keep dealing with it. So you need to handle it with him, or you need to quit, because I'm not gonna argue somebody else's fucking point when I'm not there. I don't know what went on, but to be fair, you guys were in. We have a bigger table than the room you guys were in. You guys were butt to butt in a fucking
Yeah.
tiny office.
And when I look back into it, it was growing. So it's like
It was
a child.
and it was your baby.
Yeah,
right?
it was, she was still a child, and I was still
she
in
was 20.
and I was still in infancy of being an entrepreneur, if you can call it that. And so you kind of have to grow through this. I mean, you were not your best when you were a bartender. I mean, as a human being and things like that, you didn't know everything.
Way better bartenders than me.
Well, yeah, like it's the same thing. It's like concrete. I think you humble yourself a little bit, and you're just like, you don't know everything. Like it's way easier. And like we had to learn to be like, why don't you know everything? Like, why don't you know everything?
Yeah.
And we go back and forth.
What do you want to do?
I remember one time I threw a case of water underneath the fridge, and she started crying, and then she wrote me like, I don't want to say it's 13 pages. I'm gonna say 9 pages, single space, double sided, that we had to go over, and of why that was wrong and everything that was wrong with me.
Not just the water,
and
just like the general situation.
It was the pop. It was the pimple pop of the moment. It was like, oh, let me tell you something now.
Yeah.
And I remember that day. She's like, you need to get out of here. I go, this is my office. And she goes, do you want payroll done? I go, I'm leaving right now.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah,
Sorry for interrupting.
I'll leave. I didn't say sorry. Then we had to listen to 13 pages, which was good. Now we're good. So then somebody stole you. Someone brought you on board, and you became a sales guy.
Yeah, it was because I kept
and
coming
you
to Christmas
never
parties.
done anything like that.
No, I mean,
No one usually has when they go into this kind of field.
No, I've never done in-home sales, but I think a lot of it is just being super personable, and like with bartending,
Restaurant experience. If you want to be
a
a sales guy, you need to start in the restaurant business.
It's a great training program.
You want to be around people that you need to constantly impress, and they're all different types of walks of life. Like, be in a restaurant, do that for a couple years until you're good at it, and then go try sales.
Because
it'll give you a basis on how to communicate effectively with a lot of different people.
And like with sales, it's a lot bigger range of people. I mean, we've sold roofs for $40,000 houses and roofs for $3 million houses.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's and typically someone who owns a $40,000 house and a $3 million house don't have the same.
The culture's
personality.
Different. The culture's
right?
different.
Yeah, it's just a different mindset. So I mean, but I liked sales a lot when I was in it.
Did well.
Know? I mean, I was consistent. I never really,
You were super consistent.
I wasn't the best. I was always right at the median. I was like the median.
You're the bar. You and another guy were the bar that we set. We're like, if you don't do this, then it's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, this is the bar.
Yeah.
This is the bar. This dude is not trying to kill himself. He's not trying to go to 80 appointments a week.
Yeah.
He is not trying to work all the hours of every day.
Mm-hmm.
He's not doing a bunch of follow-ups. He's not chasing down leads. He's not knocking on doors.
Yeah.
He's doing nothing extra. I'm making this, doing the exact thing that we taught him to do.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can count on you.
Because a lot of times when I was in houses, it was more a. Once I got comfortable, I would say, because I did it for 2.5 years, something like that, almost 3 years.
Did you do it for almost 3 years?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But yeah, I mean, it was close to 3 years. It was probably closer to 2.5 years. But anyway, I lost my train of thought on what.
Well, you were trying to you got out of it, I think, partly because you were trying to start a family. The hours sucked. Sierra gets home at 5:10, and you don't get home until 9:30 at night, and so there's no really.
Yeah.
You were,
well, and
you weren't newlyweds at that point, but you were engaged, I think, at that point, and just not. As you get encumbered in life with family and friends and other responsibilities, it's harder and harder to do an over-the-road sales job.
Yeah. I mean, and a big thing that me and Sierra both held on to before we were even engaged, because I mean, we dated for close to 6 years, 5 years, somewhere around there, before we got engaged. But I told her, I'm like, look, I ain't that dude that is getting divorced. So like, if we got issues, let's figure out our issues before I even propose, before we even talk about. I mean, we can talk about marriage. I mean, I'm not an asshole, but like, we need to figure out our shit. You got your shit, I got my shit. We need to figure out. Let's figure it out, or we'll wait 10 years. We need to figure our shit out, because I'm not going to get married and then figure out all the stuff that we need to fix, or change, or alter, and then we're married, so fuck it.
You were super pragmatic about it.
Yeah, I mean, which is, I don't know, I think good, but some people get married in 3 months and they were married for 7 years.
Yeah, no, I think you did it right, and you picked a good one.
But
so then, I had an operations manager, and
Did you?
Lauren.
Oh,
and he didn't end up working out. And thought, who's consistent? Who's consistent?
enough.
And I think your father did operations as well.
For like 30 years.
Right, so he was the dude.
He was like a regional operator. So he had like 40 locations
Yeah.
across Canada and the United States.
So like, it was just like came down to like, dude, do you want to make the same money and just come into the office? you know, and manage these guys. And it wasn't coming to the office. It was,
Yeah.
will you learn how to do gutters? Will you learn how to do roofing and
Learn how to do windows?
and soft fascia gutters and
Yeah.
and everything? And he kind of took to it like a duck to water. Again, because I think that we've done so many different jobs, learning a new thing isn't a big hurdle for us. We don't see it as, I can't believe how these people know how to ride a motorcycle. Like,
I'm confident, and this may be crazy. I'm 100% confident I can do anything. And I know that comes across as cocky, but like, I may not be the best at anything, but I can do anything.
right.
I mean, I can't think of. I'm not thinking of everything right now.
You're not
but
thinking
it's
of everything. I think that you need to like probably go to a micro fucking analysis of that.
More
you can
humble-
do
more humble
anything.
spot.
You can do anything with your hands that is practical. Anything practical you can do.
Sure, I can't.
So you're not going to build
I mean,
a cell phone.
yeah,
you know,
I'm
you're
not
not going
doing
to design.
surgery.
You know, you can't do code. You know, you can't do any of that
I
stuff.
can do code.
You can do code. That's cool. You couldn't
Not very successfully.
maybe build so you can't. So you can't build your own calculator. You can't. You know, there's a lot of different stuff. You can't make a satellite. You know, whatever.
But if I watch enough YouTube videos,
You think?
dude, I promise you, YouTube is like. I hope these
Your
go on YouTube.
retirement's
I
going
don't- I
to
don't know
be
if we're
your retirement's
posting-
going to be a nightmare.
My what?
Your retirement's going to be a nightmare.
Dude, I don't think I'll ever retire.
You'll have projects out the wazoo.
I mean, I'm gonna have, hopefully, enough rental properties that keep me busy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I'll just do carpet over there.
What
You know?
is your favorite part about being the operations guy? Like, what do you get the most satisfaction in being the operations guy?
I like when a week goes by, because I kind of frame my job out in weeks. You know, because if I look too far down in the future, then it's typically not gonna happen the way I'm thinking about it. So if I go a week and I guess it's just general smoothness, and I'm able to also be home at a normal time, because like anybody can make it work. If you're here 100 hours a week, you can make it smooth as butter, you know, but making it smooth and efficiently smooth within your 40, 50, 60 hours a week or whatever is good. That's I just like when, it's kind of hard to say. I like everything. It's like I like when
I
trucks,
said your favorite part. Yeah, I just said
yeah,
your
I mean
favorite
trucks go out on time and metal gets delivered and I'm fully stocked and the inventory is up to date and we have no accidents, no broken down vehicles. You know, everything's just, and what's weird is like I'll go like 2 or 3 weeks like that and then all of a sudden like every vehicle will break down. And I'm like, what the fuck happened?
Right.
You know, it's like how did all of them break down at one time?
It always happens like
And
that.
then it's like, and then
Or
you
it
end up,
always
then you end
feels
up
like
driving
that.
a fucking Fusion home, a stick Fusion home.
Then what is your worst? What's the part that you struggle with in your job the most?
I would say general focus. Like with my ADD, I'm very good at getting shit done, but not necessarily planning down the road to get shit done.
Right.
Like Excel sheets, not my fucking thing.
Right. Me either.
But Sierra is a fucking G at it,
Yeah.
you know? And so, you know, she helped me make that gutter profit analysis sheet and all that kind of stuff. So, I mean, and it would take me, again, I could figure it out, but it would take me 9 years to make the sheet that we made. So I would say that's my biggest hurdle, is to maintain focus. And what I've been kind of trying to do lately is keep a list of all the things that I'm doing or need to do, and then number the list on the most important things that I need to get done. Because what I was doing when I first started was like, I had a list and I'm not leaving until this list is done. And it's like, I was getting burnt out.
Yeah.
It's like I'm working 6 in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. 3 days a week. That I just was killing myself. And it's like I need to allocate my time better by doing things, by prioritizing things in order of importance. So that's what I've been doing within the last 2 months.
Yeah. I think that also a struggle that you had to overcome was being able to get rid of people. You've never been faced with that. I don't think that a whole bunch is that you love people so much and you want to believe in people so much and give them second, third, fifth, sixth chances to prove not only profitability but character-wise and things like that.
Yep.
And we've talked about that in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I'm a pretty understanding person, and so, you know, when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, I don't have X," or "I'm doing this because of Y," I understand. You know, I'm late or I can't come into work today because I don't have gas in my tank. I understand that. You know, I mean, I don't agree with the decisions you're making because I know what you're getting paid. And I try to dive deeper into people's lives and say, you know, what bills do you have, man? Like, I mean, like, and that's what, and honestly, that was something that helped me with sales. Was like, you know, kind of on the opposite end, is like, you know, you can afford this $180 payment. I mean, you don't have any other payments, you know, but on the opposite end is like, dude, you can't keep going out to eat every week. You can't go out to the bar every Thursday, Friday, Saturday night to sing karaoke. You can't do it. You know, I don't mind helping you, but if you don't help you, it makes it more difficult for me to do that. So I try to look into people's lives and try to help them the way I can. The only thing that like cuts me off completely is when I find out they're lying.
Yeah, lying or stealing, not a big bugaboo with you.
Hate them. Because like, I'm so and I tell all my employees, I'm like, if you want to sit at home and just play video games all fucking day, if you know Madden 24 comes out and you just want to play video games for 4 days straight, I do not care. Don't tell me your grandma died. That's it. Tell me the truth. You know, if you want to drink all day, if you want to fucking go home or if you just are fucking sick of it. If you're just like, I need time off.
Yeah.
I'm fucking over it. Stay home. I don't care. You know, just tell me the truth. Don't lie to me, because when I find out that you're lying, a big thing that people will call fib about is why they're late. And a funny story about that happened kind of recently. You remember Andrew?
Yeah.
He went on to be he's a GM at Taco Bell now. But him and Raph would hang out. Raph is our one of our factory guys. They would hang out, and every morning after they would hang out, Andrew would send me a text and say, "Hey, I got stopped by a train." And I'm like, weird. The fourth time, I'm like, why do you keep getting stuck by trains? And he's like, it's just crazy, man. Like, I don't know what, like, the fuck, you know, it's just like it seems like once a week I get stuck by a train. I was like, you know, it more so seems like once a week you go out and drink with Raph and then you just don't wake up in time. And he's like, I don't feel like you should be speculating. And I'm like, I mean, is it not true? I mean, I pay attention, you know, I may come across as, you know, ditzy, I guess, or, you know, forgetful sometimes, but like, I'll eventually remember. You know, I got everything logged in my head.
I didn't know that was happening.
Yeah. And then he sent me the same picture twice. I'm like,
dude thought he got one over.
I'm like, dude, you can't take one picture, just keep sending it.
This idiot.
Yeah, Chris is so dumb. I'm like, dude, come on. Like, just tell me you slept in.
Yeah.
I mean, if it becomes habitual where you're late every single day, then we'll have a different conversation. But if it's a random time, just tell me the truth. That's all that matters.
Hey, you like to have a good time.
I mean, I'm not a tight ass.
You like to have a good
I am
time?
almost the opposite of a tight ass.
Yeah.
I let, and like that kind of goes back to what you were saying. It's like I let people get away with a lot of stuff, and I have suggestive conversations with them rather than a sit down like,
this is what's happening.
you did this, you can't do this, don't do it again. It's more so like, dude, what the, like, why did you do that? You know, more casual conversation. And some people responded that well, and some people are just like you said, got his ass, you know, just,
Yeah.
or just like, don't even get it.
What do you think helped you be more proficient at selecting people and getting rid of people when it's their time to go and things like that?
I was gonna say it's a feeling, but that's a kind of a dumb answer. It's more so about your personality than your skill set. Meaning, if you're a, I'm gonna pause a second. I mean, if is that gonna be loud?
No, it's fine.
Oh.
The air compressor goes off. We're in a factory. It's kind of like the cool ambiance
What
of
is
doing
this
all this
place?
stuff. So it's like,
Yeah. If you're an honest person and you kind of going back to Coach, super nice dude. He showed up on time. He was honest. He took his job seriously. He was willing to learn. He didn't know dick about gutters. Nothing. Didn't know how gutter worked. And it's gravity. That's the only answer. But every single day, he'd show up on time. He'd load the trucks early. He'd get his shit done. He was the driver. He went out there and he sweat his ass off every day, and he did great.
mm-hmm.
You know, he went off to coach basketball at a college, but I think, and I think most people would agree, I would rather have personality traits than skill set.
There's
Because
a good balance for sure.
because I can teach you skill sets. I can't teach you how to be honest. I could, but that was your parents' job.
Yeah.
You know, I got my own kids. I'm not going to teach you how to be honest. I'm going to teach you how to show up on time, and you know, be efficient. You know, it's my job is to teach you how to do the job, not to change you as a person.
How much harder is this job than managing like a restaurant? Obviously, different stresses are involved.
Yeah, I mean, I it's weird because like restaurants are like always in your face. It's always, you have to figure it out right that second. You don't get a whole lot of customers that call 3 weeks later and say, hey, my wings were cold.
Fair.
Here, if we have some sort of service or something like that, or miscommunication when it comes to the office told them one thing that didn't get relayed to me and I didn't relay to the customer, or whatever miscommunication or there is, that would be I don't know if it's more difficult or less difficult. I mean, it's super comparable, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing about when I get a service call or an upset customer and it gets sent to me from the office, I have time to prepare figure out answers and tell them what happened, and, you know, figure out why I'm apologizing, or just give them clarity, because sometimes they're just confused. We had a lady that called like 2 weeks ago, and we did her gutters in 2018. And she called and she was like, hey, I just got my gutters cleaned, and the guy who cleaned my gutters said I have the wrong size downspouts. And that got portrayed to me from the office like, you need to come out and fix my downspouts. When in reality, it was just like, I need clarity on why the downspouts are the way they are. And so I just called her and said, hey, we do 2x3 downspouts. On typical ranch home, it doesn't, you don't need a huge downspout. One, it looks a little funny, and two, you never get that much water. So, and she was like, oh, that sounds good. And that was it. So, I mean, it's like, that's an easy one. And then other times it's like, your driver drove through my fucking yard.
Yeah.
It's never great. And that one was a little bit more difficult of a conversation, but it may be easier. I think I have more responsibility overall here than in a restaurant.
The wins losses are huge here.
Yeah.
You can win big, you can lose big.
Yeah. There it's just more of a, and I don't want to say I don't grind, but like there it's a daily grind, and this is like kind of a slow burn grind.
Do you like working with your wife?
Yeah. I mean, she's like, it's hard not to because she's so good at her job.
Yeah.
Like, if she sucked or she didn't have all these, Excel sheets in place and all this kind of stuff, I mean, it would make my life way more difficult.
Yeah.
All the different labeled.
Because I think most people like listen to this and be like, I don't know if I want to work with my wife.
Yeah, you know? and it's people have asked me that before. It's like, I enjoy being around her.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I would just hang out with her all day. If we didn't have jobs and we were just billionaires, like, I'd just hang out all day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't. I mean, we have our, she does her thing and I do my thing sometimes, but it's like I don't. And I think it probably has a lot to do with like what I was saying before we got engaged was, working on the relationship, and a lot of that is just teamwork in general. So it's like we talk about work pretty consistently at home too.
I think all of us do. All high level people, if you like your job, we want to talk about it. We're either proud of it, we want to share the wins, we want to tell you about the losses, things like that. I mean, I've had a conversation with Mari, who was on the podcast earlier. He when his wife's friends come over, he's like, all he does is talk about work and stuff. Well, that's that dude's passion. If his passion was showing goats or collecting Pokemon cards, he'd talk about that. His passion's work.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with that.
Yep.
And I think that you and her are very passionate about work. And like it's not that weird to talk about it all the time, you know.
And she said before in the past, or like people are like, "Are you gonna like after the second kid? Are you gonna just like be a stay-at-home mom?" She's like, "But
she's always. I made her prompt before every kid. I was like, "Are you done?
Are you done?
Are you done?" She says, "No, I want to work forever." I'm like, "Okay."
No, that'd be yeah. I mean, she's always said, and that's. I love that is that because she's a good homemaker or whatever you want to call it too.
She bounces, yeah.
I mean, like I do the lawn, I do all like the yard work and all the physical shit, and hang shelves, paint, whatever, and I cook. So that's the only other woman duty that I do. But
2023, Chris, be careful.
Well, I identify as a woman, so it makes sense. But it's I enjoy cooking, so that's why I do the cooking. She's a great cook if she can follow a recipe, believe it or not. If she's in this box, she's great at it. She'll make it Gordon Ramsay recipe, tastes like Gordon Ramsay, promise. But, I mean, I haven't done laundry since we moved into the new house. It's almost been 3 years. And, like, that's wonderful. I hate doing laundry. I hate doing I'll do dishes on occasion, and I'll do laundry on occasion. Not recently at all, but I mean, our balance in the household is good. So I mean, I think here makes it easy. I go up there and see her a couple times a day, but I mean, we're not up each other's ass either. I think if we were next to each other in offices, it'd be different. Or if we had to work a little closer together, maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Yeah, because when I was in sales, it was
a non-factor.
I never had to talk. I mean, I just came home and bitched whenever I didn't have a sale.
Yeah. Let's dive into more. You deal with a lot of, I think that you catch a lot of the customer issues or complaints or anything like that.
Yeah.
What's the biggest one that you think that has been hard to solve, or is a reoccurring thing, or customers are not educated enough that we could educate them? Like, what are some things that customers have complaints or issues with that is hard to solve?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a recurring thing.
I would say, and we haven't had it recently, but the confusion on leaf guards.
Yeah,
we've kind of talked about it a little bit before, but the confusion is when the confusion lies where the leaf guard is currently installed on a gutter.
Right, you buy our roofing system,
and you already have a leaf guard on your gutter system. That's a good picture to look at here. So right, this one here. So
this one.
Yeah. when you're talking leaf guards, so this is your leaf guard here. This is your drip edge, it's like beige, and that's your shingle. When we come over and do an overlay for our metal, we put our new drip edge on there. Sorry, I just wasn't talking here. My bad. So we put our new drip edge over the shingle, and our drip edge is about an inch longer.
Right.
See how tight that leaf guard is to the current drip edge? So when we come back and put our drip edge down, it presses into the leaf guard, which then tracks the water back toward your house, which obviously you don't want. You don't want that at all.
And so we have to take, if you have current leaf guard, we have to take it off. Correct. And almost never can we put it back on.
Almost never.
Almost never can we put it back on.
And I mean, a lot of times
we haven't found out a good way to like have it function. Like we can put it back on.
Yeah.
We can't say it's going to be completely functional and stuff like that. So like we pretty much leave it off. So if you're in the market for a metal roofing system, you have leaf guard and you just spent 10 grand and stuff, you're going to either have to have them take it off, like if you purchased from a reputable place and spent 10 grand on gutters, have them take it off, and then when we leave, you know, they can come and put it back on and stuff like that. Maybe they have a different way, but our current way to put stuff on and it's not compatible.
Yeah. I mean, the only way to do it, which obviously we would have to charge, and it's not, in my eyes, it's not worth the money, so I hate even giving this as an option, but if you dropped your entire gutter system down 2-3 inches, you could reinstall them. But if I mean, they're in a 50,
and you're patching screw holes and you're messing up the fascia,
and your fascia may be a little rotted underneath.
The aesthetics don't work.
It's a huge problem.
You know, you don't want to generally do that. And then also, those aren't our gutters that we put leaf guard back on. You didn't purchase those, and so like we have a gutter system, you know, that we make in house, and that's not compatible. The leaf guard system not compatible with all kinds of gutters. Yeah. And so it becomes very hard to do that. And it's difficult for us. We don't want you to lose the ability to have leaf guards,
or the effectiveness.
Yeah, or the effectiveness, but at the end of the day, there's no good way to do it yet. And if anybody out there knows how to do it more effectively or whatever, I would love to know. But that's been a huge struggle. I mean, especially when people spend cash, like these cheap ones right here. Like the plastic ones and stuff, the inserts, like no one cares, right? They probably spent $600 on them. So
and the plastic ones too. I mean, if your plastic PVC leaf guards or leaf filters have been on for 5 years,
they're brittle.
Yeah, they're baking in the sun.
Yeah,
I mean, we take that off when we break one. We don't know where you got it. We don't know if the model's still available.
It's faded anyway.
It's faded, so we're gonna get a new one, and it's gonna look dumb up on your roof. So I mean, it's just, there's a lot of issues on it, and that's why we warranty our gutters
forever,
just as long.
Yeah, they're good.
I mean, it's a lifetime warranty.
Yeah, they'll last as long as the roof.
So I mean,
your fascia will fail and everything before our gutters will fail.
Any part of this, and tell me if I'm wrong, but a big part of when you started the company was offering that lifetime warranty on everything that we offer.
Yeah, we don't want to be back in the house, we're having to resell you a roof, resell you windows, gutters, soffit, fascia, anything.
Yeah, I mean, and to upgrade the product to equal the warranty is what we had to do. Because it doesn't
screws up.
Well, and it doesn't make sense because when you think about it, it doesn't make sense to offer a lifetime warranty that transfers and offer some of the barn panel that people have, or a thinner gauge metal on the aluminum gutters.
Yeah,
because it's not gonna last, and then like you said, you're just gonna have to go back out. Why wouldn't I just give you the best that I know is gonna last you a lifetime in the first place?
What are some other issues that you find that you work with? Because you oversee a little bit of the roofing, you oversee a lot of the gutters and a lot of the windows.
Yeah. It's hard because I'm trying to think of each individual department. With windows, during COVID, they had a huge falling out of employees, and so I think for a while there, they're new in place. We're having a little bit of issues with just the craftsmanship of the window. They always honor it. We just send it back.
Yeah.
We're not installing that in people's houses.
Right.
But, we would send it back, but that kind of kicked us back. We had, that was a huge issue that we had, was the last window installer we had. He put us so far behind. I mean, we were months and months. We installed one job, and God bless them, I talked to them multiple times, and they were just cool with it. But almost a year after they bought windows.
Yeah.
And that's just not fair.
Windows take a long time. Generally, if you're going to go our kind of route with windows, because we're making custom windows for your house.
100%.
For our roofing products and other things like that, we make it custom in the shop. I always like to say, like, would it be cool to sell a job on a Wednesday and have it installed on a Friday? Yeah. And it's possible, because we make everything in house. The windows get made states away, and they're custom. Down to the half inch or down to quarter inch, width and height. And so that's, back in COVID times, we were running 16, 18 weeks, 22 weeks for window being manufactured. So it's not going to be that same level of right now. Now we're back on, like, I would say 6 to 12 weeks is the median.
Probably 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks.
They're killing it right now.
And then as we go back into wintertime, when we do a lot more windows, it'll get worse. But we can't do that. And I wish that we had a faster way to do windows. If you go to Lowe's or Menards, Home Depot, those windows don't fit your house. You're going to lose light, or you're going to have to do some major modifications to your house to make those windows fit.
And 90% of the time, that's probably an inflated number. I would say 70% of the time, those seals are already broken. But they're in the store.
Yeah, we try to explain that to customers and stuff. Like when they do big box store stuff and they make 1 million windows, those 1 million windows don't get used up in the first 2 months. No. They sit in warehouses, and as the warehouses deplete, or as the retail stores deplete, they order more from the warehouse, and they might, for standard windows, it might sit there for years, And then if it doesn't sit there for years, on the truck ride to the warehouse, they could get damaged. On the warehouse to go into a Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot, they could get damaged. In the small fact that a little leak, all the air and all the argon and things are leaked out. Yeah. And then from Lowe's, Menards, Home Depot to your house, that's a lot of, like,
they're on a truck about 7 times before they're installed into
instead
your
of
house.
Directly from factory to here to your house.
Yep.
Like they're never more than months old. We rarely keep windows in inventory before installing them. Months.
Just this week we had, and it was just weird, kind of a weird scheduling thing that we had to cancel and stuff like that. But we got windows on Friday, and installed them on Tuesday, Wednesday.
Right.
They're in his house, installed, 100% done, less than 8 weeks old. No one's doing that.
No one's doing that.
They're just not.
That's been a cool part of what you've had. We've got some great guys in here that can install, real craftsmen that can figure it out and get windows installed, from everything from patio doors, sliding doors to big openings, big bay and bow windows, and
they
things
do
like
opening
that.
changes. They'll reframe a whole new wall.
Right.
They got a job now. They're doing a couple diamond windows, so they're installing a window, square picture window sideways. I'm like,
You done ovals?
That's one of the things I'm like,
and
good luck with all that.
all sorts of stuff.
It's not me.
You have any questions for me? Like, I always think that I railroad these conversations.
I don't know. I didn't really prepare a whole lot, to be honest with you.
We don't prepare at all. But I thought I was like, there's always a thing where I keep asking questions. I'm like, I wonder if they care, if they want to ask me things like that I would normally talk about, or
I don't know. You're such an open person, so it's like, and I'm an honest person, so it's like, if I ever have a question, I just ask it.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll start saving them up for.
You can save them up for the next podcast and ambush me.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if I can't really think of nothing.
Why do you think that we're successful? And why do you think that we rose to, to be a big player in the game in the Midwest? What do you think that we do versus what other people do when it comes to either marketing, sales, install, anything? What do you think that why have we been so successful?
I think it's a combo of the product that we offer and the transparency that we have with the customer. Because, when it comes to marketing, like you mentioned, we don't do a whole lot.
No.
We're just scratching the surface on it right now. But I think, to the best of our ability, when our
I mean, are you saying like as far as the marketing is like giving away the Ford GT?
the Ford GT,
We can talk about that,
yeah, or even the ice cream truck.
or the ice cream truck,
That's
which
releasing
will be
this weekend.
which will be
Free ice cream.
months later from when this podcast airs. But Ford GT giveaway, perfect steel solutions. See if it
Yeah.
comes up.
There it is. I think it's sweepstakes something. I forget the website. That's bad. That's bad that I don't remember that.
So that is the Ford GT we're giving away. I thought it'd be
It's
cool.
so sick. It's so sick.
I thought it'd be cool to, since I'm into cars and that kind of stuff, and always my dream car was a Ford GT.
Yep.
And I thought, it would be cool to give this thing away and get people excited about getting metal roofing estimates or window estimates or whatever. So we decided to go a different route, rather than spending all the money on, advertising commercially or internet wise or whatever. We put all that budget into a Ford GT, and we're giving it away in this December. So that's been fun to take around to all the local fairs, home
People
shows.
love it, dude.
It's cool. Kids get their pictures taken in it. It'll be a nice treat that I can do it like a poor man's Mr. Beast video.
Yeah.
And give away a Ford GT. Hopefully that becomes a staple for us. We're going to do it next year as well.
Any ideas on next year's plans?
It's probably going to be a Lamborghini. I've been looking at
A
some of
Lambo?
them. A Lambo. I can't find one that I like with the butterfly doors, which I think is a showstopper.
Butterfly doors. Oh,
Or the Lambo doors, I guess it is. Lambo doors.
wait, the Lambo door, like the suicide doors where they open backwards? The ones that open up, or the ones that open
ones that
like,
open up.
Because like the GT is kind of like a butterfly
It's
door,
trippy.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Because don't they open like this?
So those are some of our new things that we're doing. I don't think anyone else is doing that kind of stuff, which will set us apart, hopefully. And like if you're watching this at home, which I hope you are, you can
We
go,
know you are.
You can go sign up for an estimate, and if you get an estimate from us, you're entered to win this car. We're giving away in December, which will be pretty cool. The other thing that we're doing is an ice cream truck. And I don't have any pictures or videos on any of that stuff.
We can probably.
But we're doing, like, we thought, like, how do you target the neighborhoods that we want to target? How do we become a staple in the community?
And kind of give back too.
And kind of
you
give
know?
back. How do we make it fun, where it's not just like, hey, we want to sell you something. Like, we just want to be in your mind. If you when you come to
When
the
you're
point,
ready.
when you're ready, I want to be the guy.
Yeah, we'll be here.
I want to be the guy. And so, like, we're going to go to these neighborhoods and we're going to give away ice cream. And we have an ice cream truck that's fully outfitted with deep freezers and everything. And
And we got everything: ice cream sandwiches, fruit pops, fudgesicles. What's the?
and for free,
I mean,
drumsticks.
yeah. I mean, drumsticks. Yeah. I mean, 100% free.
100% free. Take
We
this
don't take- we don't-
information.
yeah. You
take
take-
this information. There's a sheet of paper that tells what you would do. Give it to old mom and dad, and put it up on your fridge or do something like that. Here's free ice cream.
Yep.
See you next time around.
Well, and I remember, and I mean, when I was a young kid, I was in Virginia Beach, but like, I remember begging for the ice cream truck when I was a kid. Whenever I heard it, I'm like, can we get ice cream? Running down the street after the ice cream truck.
Right.
And in the research that we've done, they're like extinct.
Yeah, COVID put a huge deficit in ice cream truck business. We couldn't find one in Indiana.
We couldn't find an ice cream supplier.
We couldn't
for
find
a long time.
They don't really sell to private retailers like that, like what we would necessarily be. You know, they sell to Costco and Kroger and Scott's and things like that. I mean, we had a tough time finding a supplier.
Yeah.
And so we're pretty excited about being one of the only ice cream trucks out there and the only one giving away free ice cream.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you find an ice cream truck, I guarantee if you walk up, you're not going to get it for free.
And so that could be that'd be a cool avenue if that takes off. We do 7 ice cream trucks next year.
Yeah.
And if the car takes off, we do, Murcielago, fucking Lamborghini, Ferrari, crazy new stuff. I'm willing to put the money to where whatever the consumers are willing to play ball. I think that'd be cool. I mean, I like doing everything, but we're at a point now where we just kind of want to find something else, because the whole online marketing and the whole SEO stuff, it's kind of been diluted. You're going to spend a bunch of money and you're not going to get the results that we used to get. And so like we've just changed our model to be self-sufficient in that way and try to find a new niche marketing thing that could take us to the next level. I mean, we would all like to say like, cool, $10 million a year company would be like a cool, point of reference to be like, that's how, we're good on that. But, like what is the top for our area? Working in 2-hour radius of Fort Wayne right now. We'll expand over the next coming years, but like, what is the top end that we could do? How much can we grow? Can we have more factories? Can we have more blah, blah, blah? Mm-hmm. And I think that niche marketing is the only real way to do that. We're still young enough that we don't have all the referrals enough to keep generating the same amount of business every year. When we reach that 15-year mark, I'm sure we're going to have tons of people that every neighbor and cousin and brother will recommend us. Yep. But until that time happens, we just have to keep, plugging along and doing the best that we can do so we can generate that referral service.
And I think a lot of it is, because, I mean, there's a decent amount out of Fort Wayne, a decent amount of steel roofing companies. A lot of them do the same stuff, too. No one's doing an ice cream truck. No one's giving away a car. They're doing Facebook ads and radio ads. And
there's like 350 in the half-an-hour radius. 350 roofing companies.
No shit.
Yeah. 350.
How many of them are making their own steel?
None.
One.
Well, us, but like
one of them is
none that do full service like that. Commercial, some places do it where they'll make it on site, but that's pretty much the extent of it.
Warehousing, right?
Well, like they'll sell the coils and rent you the machine to go run off panels on site. Yeah. So you could kind of say that they make their own stuff. Being an installer, I don't know if that generally qualifies, but it is a good service nonetheless. But I mean, we make everything else here.
No. Yeah, I mean it's fully custom. I mean, with all the machines.
I can't wait to have the guy who designed all the machines for us and here in Thomas out of ASC. Shout out ASC in Spokane, Washington.
Is he the German guy?
German guy.
He was just in here. You missed him.
Yeah, I missed him. I was in Georgia. Yeah. But
he's super cool, dude.
It was a cool process.
Yeah.
I can talk a little about that.
Yeah. On like how to get the action.
Well, I at a certain point in time in business, I thought, wow, we spend a lot on metal roofing to the tune of way over $1 million a year in product when we were small. And I go, I wonder how hard it is to sort of extrude this roll format, So I put in inquiries to like a bunch of the biggest companies that do this sort of work. I wanted to make sure that would be American-made machinery and all that stuff, so I didn't branch out to the Chinese stuff or overseas. Mm-hmm. So I found a couple. The only person that returned my phone call or that was interested in walking me through it was this company out of Spokane, Washington, and the guy was like, yeah, I'll fly in here soon and I'll talk to you. I was like, really? You're gonna come all the way here?
No shit.
You know, I was like, we're not that big and I don't have any money. So, but like,
did you have the building yet?
no,
You're like
nothing.
You're like, meet me in my
I was in
700
an
square
office.
foot.
We were renting an
3
office for $800 a month, bro. Like, we didn't have nothing, which was cool to have no overhead, but like, we didn't
Just a
have
dream.
anything. We were
Just a dream.
We were just selling and buying our metal and installing it and do that kind of stuff. Yeah. And so,
And that's what everybody else does. Everybody else just has a small little office.
everyone else does that. I mean, no one's making their own shingles. No one's making their own metal. I mean, no one's doing all that stuff. So he came in and he was like, yeah, no, cool. You like this panel? You want to design it like this? And you have to have all these machines and, you know, what colors do you want the machines to be? And blah, blah, blah. And, you know, why don't you go find a building? It should be about this, you know, this big. You don't want to go smaller than this because you won't have enough room for X. Because, like, one of the biggest hurdles was finding a building that would be conducive to this. Because if you don't have overhead cranes, you have to be a lot more open planned because you have to drive everything around on a forklift.
Which most of the time, someone who is like an efficiency person would see open floor plan as dead space.
As dead space. And it would be had, you know, if you're moving around 30-foot panels, but then you have to have 30 foot of breadth around all those machines and all those things that you're going around. And so he helped me develop, you know, kind of an idea of how big of a building I would need. And then he would come when I looked at this building. He came and flew
How many
in
did you look
and
at?
look at I looked at a bunch. Some of them were pretty sad. I would look like old, like,
Bro,
you know,
this building was sad.
Well, this building was super sad.
My
before I got a hold of
it was
But
terrible.
this was a shining jewel compared to all the other things that I looked at. I looked at, like, a lot of the buildings were like the last gold rush or the last industry that went dead was like printing press stuff. Like, was a lot of what I looked at because they had a lot of square feet because the printing press is very long,
Big, especially the old ones.
Especially the old ones, and so a lot of those buildings. But the problem is that they didn't have the height.
Ooh.
So, like, all the buildings would be, you know, 12-foot ceilings. Well, I'm like,
That ain't gonna help me.
it's gonna be pretty difficult not to lift this stuff up. And, you know, if our racks were half as tall, if they weren't 20 foot tall, I mean, it would be a lot less room in here to feel a lot more terrible. And so when I found this building, it was in really disrepair.
Practically dirt floors.
Yeah, it was bad.
The floors were bad.
It was bad. But he helped me walk through that. We kind of like taped out where the things would go, and we had a floor plan. And then he was like, "All right, time for money." And I'm like, "All right."
I don't have any of that.
I don't have that much money, and I don't have, you know, that stuff. And so I had Chad on the podcast last week, and you know, I went to him and I was like, "Hey, man, I need $1 million of machines. I needed this $1 million building."
He said,
and he was like, "100%."
Oh, he was just cool with it, like right off the rip.
Once I looked at our financials, saw how well and how much we were growing, and
Did you know him prior to this?
Not really. I'd asked him for the original seed fund, which he approved as well for $250,000. But I didn't know it was going to take like 9 weeks to get, so we already quit our job, so I couldn't go through with that. And by that time, I'd already paid back my dad the $25,000.
Like, I have
alone.
no fucking money,
And so we were already way beyond needing $250,000. We were already solvent at that point. And so I went there as a 30-year-old. I was like, "Hey, can I have $2 million?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Bet."
sick.
So I call the company and I write checks that were amazingly big.
How'd that feel? Like emotionally, like no big deal, or was it just like? Ugh?
I think that I had so much. Nothing had gone wrong. You know, so nothing had gone wrong at all. Like, we really didn't have no issues. We had great salespeople. Everything was going great in my life. Everything was, you know, everything was like coming together. There was no doubts because I knew how much we were buying. I'm like, how much I would save doing it myself and how efficient that would become and how necessary during COVID it would then be.
Yeah.
And so I wrote the checks, delivery 12 months later. I kept it all a secret, which was kind of cool. No one knew that I had this building that I was rehabbing. No one knew that I ordered these machines, and no one knew that I was fixing up the offices and doing all that kind of stuff. They're like, well, he just leaves the office a bunch. Well, I was leaving the office at 3:00 to come over work here for 6-7 hours to do, getting this place up to thing, because it was like dirt, concrete floors. Everything was beat up. Everything was terrible. And by the time that machines came through, I had this place pretty up to par. Like, it was looking good. And the machines got delivered, and I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to know how to work with these? And it's like, they flew me out to Spokane. They taught me how to
you did
do all
go
the
out
machines.
there.
Oh yeah, we flew out there to do a final test, and they taught me how to do all
Are
this
you
stuff.
worthy?
Well, it was like, we're not going to ship these unless they're right, and they didn't. And then they had a guy come here for a couple of weeks named Greg, and he was awesome. Still talk to him this day. He still comes and services stuff when we need it. And we were off and running pretty much right away. I mean, me and Jimmy put together the first load all by ourselves, and it wasn't that hard. It wasn't. If you think about, you want to do something in life, whether it's get a rental property, whether it's start a hamburger shop, or start manufacturing your own product or whatever like that, it wasn't that exceedingly hard once you just fully committed to it. Once you're like, there's no turning back, I have to do this.
And that's the hard part for most people, though.
That's the hard part for most people.
Is to jump out of the nest, or
it's so comfortable to be in the positive.
Yeah.
Even when you're maybe not wealthy, but you're even. Except for a mortgage, you're even. You have enough for your car, you have enough for your house, but you're even. To be going like, hey, you're going to be $2 million in debt as a 30-year-old, and you've never made $100,000. Like, that's pretty sketchy to most people. But I knew that the trajectory, it would be one of the best things for us. And once I learned how to do all the machines and run stuff, we kept our costs down even then, because it was just me, and we were still not as big. We were doing $5 million a year, so I could still do almost everything but drive myself.
You did deliveries at some point, didn't you?
Yeah, I didn't want to. I technically don't have a CDL, but
you can drive as long as it's underweight.
I can only drive if we'll have less than 700 pounds on the trailer.
Not 700.
700 pounds.
No.
Yep, 700 pounds. And once we put 700 pounds plus, then the thing, you need DOT because of weight.
Really?
Yep.
Is that because of the weight of the trailer?
The weight of everything combined.
Yeah.
The weight of the 550, the weight of the trailer, and everything like that.
Because I think one time...
It's not a length thing. It's not one of those things. It's a weight thing.
It might have been me. It might have been somebody else. But I think I might have... I picked up 3 full skids of plywood. That had to be more than 700 pounds. I mean...
You're not doing interstate travel and those stuff, so it would be a really big deal.
That was to, like... Toledo.
Oh, okay. I thought you just picked it up at local.
It was that one big job that was like ended up being like a 5 square tear off.
It was 600 pounds for
one skid.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like I said, I think it might have been me. It might have been our CDL driver. I don't really remember who it was.
But yeah. So I mean, I did everything but the delivering, and it was pretty good.
Who was your first CDL driver?
Cam.
It was Cam.
It was Cam.
He's still driving.
Yeah. And so that was kind of a neat thing that it just kind of all worked out. And like by the time that the payments started stroking, like it was already up and running. We were saving a boatload of money, and the efficiency went so far. And I got to slowly drip off of our last supplier. I didn't have to go like, hey, we're not ordering anything more from you. I had to go, hey, I'm gonna make 1 job in-house this week, and the other 10 I'm going to order from you.
Yep.
And then the next week, I was like, I'm going to try to do 2 next week. And then I'm going to try to do 3, 4. Now I'm going to do 10, and we'll see if we can go a week without ordering. And next week, I couldn't hold that. So I was like going back. And until eventually, and God bless them, Mel Exteriors in Charlotte, Ohio, they were so cool about it. They would teach me stuff. They would send me stuff. They were so cool.
You came, or you were talking to me about it, because I think I had just started in sales, and you were like, I'm fucking so nervous on like fucking taken away from
that. Was one of the most anxiety driven I've ever been, because it felt like I was breaking up.
Yeah.
Because we had such a good relationship.
You were breaking up a great relationship.
It was
like
great.
Everything's going perfect.
They gave
I'm just done.
They serviced us wonderfully. They were very generous.
And they're still great.
They're still great. We gave them. I felt a little bit good because during that time, like we were a staple for them, doing so much business that they could grow, and they quadrupled in size over the last 10 years.
That's awesome.
And so,
and you got to take some credit, right? I mean,
not that I take credit, but it was at least they had a sure footing that I was going to order $1 million every year, if not more.
When like even now, I mean, if I mess up ordering or inventory or whatever, and I'm in a pinch and I need 3 boxes of whatever color screw, I can call them and they're like, or caulking or something like that. They're just like, yeah, we'll send it right over to you, or you can come pick it up.
I'd love to have them on the podcast too.
Oh, they're great. I mean,
I don't know if they would do it because I don't know if Mennonite people do podcasting, but
they got phones, right?
They got phones and computers and stuff. I just don't know if like want to be videotape. Maybe I'm thinking of Native Americans. I can't remember.
Maybe you put camouflage over the.
Do that. But no, they were super cool. And then we're just off and running. And then if I wouldn't have had this factory during COVID, we'd have been effectively shut down because the payments don't stop.
Correct.
The payments don't stop. So like that's one thing that you have to keep in mind, that if you have a business that takes a dive during a certain part of the year, like say you want to go buy 5 trucks and put snowplows on, well, that's really good for 3 months out of the year.
If it snows.
But then you're going to have to make those payments all the way through the rest of the year. And during COVID, when everyone else was effectively shut down, it was just me, and I could come in here and make as much stuff and deliver as much stuff, no contact, and then we could install as much stuff because there's no contact there, and we kept on going. We kept on rolling, and it really helped us catch up at that point because we were really far behind. And I think that if we wouldn't have had that, we'd have been pretty screwed because everyone else was shut down. They weren't making material. They weren't delivering material. They weren't doing any of that stuff. So it would have been real hard to keep everyone employed here during that time. I mean, we did get the PPP loans and stuff, but it'd been real hard to bounce back from that the way we did. It was one of our best years. Every year's our best year, but
and most of those guys,
we grew during COVID.
Yeah, and that's crazy. It's crazy to think about those numbers, but like, what do most of the other like big guys in Fort Wayne, are they, and you may not know this, but do they use the same supplier? Do most of them go through the same kind of?
So there's only 2 suppliers here in town of metal roofing.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go buy from Menards, Lowe's, Home Depot, things like that.
Count there.
Or buy stock stuff.
Metal
if you're a
roofing
consumer,
specific.
or if you're a consumer and you want to buy stock panels, like 10-foot, 15-foot panels from a lumber yard or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's only 2 people that make in-wall, sidewalls, all the accessories and color to color, the 15 different colors, and yada, yada, yada. There's only 2 big places in this area that you can get it from, and they get all their stuff from there. Everything.
And I mean, we have at least
so they're servicing
in Fort
300.
Wayne, right?
They're servicing 300 other people. Well, probably only like 20 of those people do metal roofing, but they're servicing all those people. They're getting the same exact product.
I got a question. Now that I think of one. So a lot of those companies, I think almost every metal roofing company now offers shingles.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't we?
So it's partly a brand thing, right?
I have my answer too. So I'm just seeing if we mesh.
So it's 2 parts. So it's one, it's a brand thing, right? Perfect Steel. We look pretty dumb, if one part of our business didn't have anything to do with metal. So I don't know if that's on target, if we were
the first other company I thought of, I was like, that was weird.
If we were a donut company, we made donuts steaks. And we're like Meats Plus, like that was our name. Like it wouldn't be on brand. Like, well, we do sell steaks, but we really kill on donuts. So part of that's a brand thing. We don't want to confuse the thing, and we want to actually, like, everyone puts like we are the top. We are the number 1 installer. We specialize in metal roofing. Yeah. But they also must specialize in cedar shake. They also must specialize in slate. They also specialize in well, you can't specialize in everything.
Unless you're me and I'm good at everything.
You're not
Right.
good at everything.
I can
but you can learn.
I can
do
learn how to
everything.
be good at everything.
Like it wasn't a factor of, it was just a brand thing. It's like you can't specialize in it. We only do metal roofing. If you want shingles and you're willing to pay $5,000 a square, we still won't do it.
Yeah.
We still will not do a shingle roof. It's just not our thing.
Yeah.
And we don't belong in that market, and our whole company's not set up to do that. If I wanted to start a shingle company within this company or something, or like offer a brand of shingles, I would have to set up also a service structure for that, because they don't last the same amount of time. I might be cool for 5-7 years, but at some point in time, I'll have to have a service company that go patch stuff. Limbs fall, trees fall, things like that, damage these things they poke. They lift up and they rip off, and I wouldn't be able. It's not very expensive to fix those things, potentially, but I would have to have a service department. We don't have a service guy.
Yeah.
Our install crews are the service people.
Oh.
Our gutter crews are the gutter service people. We don't have a service guy that just goes around and fixes other people's mistakes or problems.
But that's because we offer an only lifetime solution, so we don't need a full-time service guy.
We don't need a guy. It's
because
done.
we're not doing a bunch of services.
We don't hardly, for the amount of $10 million worth of work that we do a year.
Yeah.
Our services are negligible.
No, almost nothing.
It's almost always, can you just make sure this is right?
Yeah.
Can
Double check.
Can you make sure this screw doesn't look like it's all the way fastened? This caulk looks a little thick right here. So it's never like, yeah, it's terrible. Like,
my panel flew off.
Yeah, my panel flew off.
Yeah.
This panel's the wrong color. This,
Yep.
so it's never big deal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the other part of like why I don't offer shingles. And I think it's a cop out. Like if you also offer that, it's like, what do you believe in?
Exactly.
You know,
that's my big thing.
What do you believe in? We either believe that this is the best system that you can invest in,
Yeah.
or there's a thing. And are there exceptions to the rule? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
What-
you live in a 1,000 square foot house and you have no savings and you have just enough money to get by and you're not going to live there more than a year,
Yeah.
probably get shingles.
Yeah. No,
That's not our target customer.
Yeah, no, that's what I told everybody when I was in sales, is like, if you're going to be in your house less than 2 years,
Yeah.
do shingles. And I would tell them straight up because and I think I can speak for the other sales guy too. We're not like the used car salesman either, right? I mean, we're not sitting there pushing people, twisting their arms and doing it. It's like, and that's because we know this is the best option for you.
Yeah.
But we will tell you if it's not.
I think we ask on the phone if you plan on being there for a couple of years or something like that. It's one of those things like, we don't want to go to your house.
Yeah, we don't want to waste your
If
time.
you're trying to do a flip, we're not the people for you.
Not the people. I mean, it transfers 15 years, so I mean, you get a little bit of
and
value
obviously
there.
stuff like that. But like,
We're a longevity roof. We're not a flip house.
yeah, we're not
At all.
And so like that's the other part of it. Like, what do you believe in? I could offer different windows, and I could offer different soffit fascia gutters and stuff like that. And then eventually, when we get into solar, like there's cheaper versions of what we do. There is cheaper versions. Maybe not cost effective for anyone who's going to be there for any amount of time.
Yeah.
But there's cheaper options for sure.
Well, and that's a big hurdle that you get when you're in the house too. With speaking to customers as sales guy is like, hey, I got a quote for $7,000. It's like, yeah, I mean, you can pay anywhere from $5,000 to $80,000 for depending on what type of metal roof you want. If you want a stamped metal roof that's that looks like shingles, you're gonna pay a premium price.
Could you compare it to the car market?
Yeah. I mean,
You can drive a brand new F-150.
Yeah.
Like that is a common thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And you will pay on that for 5 years.
Yeah.
And it will be probably really reliable, and it will take on a heavy workload, and it will perform as advertised.
Yeah.
You can also go buy a 1998 Honda Civic for $1,000.
Mm-hmm.
It might get you back and forth to work for the next 5 years. It might.
Yeah.
Chances are it won't,
Yeah.
but it's so cheap that if you just need something to drive for the next 30 days, that might be the option for you. If you plan on walking to work forever, then just get a Honda Civic and then, you're good.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. We're not going after those customers. We can't offer any value to those people.
Yeah. I mean, because in the end of the day, we want the metal roof from us to be the best option for you.
Yeah.
If it's not, we'll tell you
Yeah.
straight up. I mean, it's
with all the
With
stuff
ver-
that goes into it as well, like, because it's like we could say like because it lasts a long time, but that's not all we base ourselves on.
and it's not always the most
The cost
important.
savings in the heat retention,
Yeah.
or displacement, the warranty stuff, the service aspect of like, hey, like my biggest thing when I went into a house when I was selling for us is, we're gonna be the ones servicing it. It's
Yeah.
not you have to when you buy an LG washer from Best Buy, and if something breaks, Best Buy doesn't come out and fix that.
No.
You have to call the manufacturer, and they have their own parts guys, and they have their own service technicians and things like that. Like, that might be a process. Like, we're going to come out and we'll make you another custom piece of metal and bring it out there.
I mean, I think a big thing too that people don't consider is security. Meaning, there's a lot of companies that go under, and a lifetime warranty doesn't mean jack.
Let's talk about that, because
It don't-
I get that a lot, and we get them from customers a lot. How do I know you're not like the other people?
It don't mean nothing if you go out of business.
Yeah.
Why do I even care about your warranty?
Yeah. So I like to tell people, like, everyone else says that too. They're like, every roof company I talk to, lifetime warranty. Every time I talk to somebody,
Hear it on the
it's
radio.
forever. Blah blah blah. So, okay, cool. What's the foundation built upon? It's not as much as money that they do or jobs installed. It's about what foundation.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, these guys have a minute amount of employees. They have maybe 15 employees. Maybe. And of those 15 employees, they have maybe 5 or 6 trucks, and they have they have the one crew, and they have the one outlet of marketing or media or whatever they're going to do, and they're one divorce away from losing everything. They don't have the capital
Or lawsuit from anybody.
or lawsuit. That's a great thing too. Like a lawsuit, like they don't have the protection of having something not too big to fail sort of way, but like they don't have the foundation that a lot of these big companies have. It's like when I try to convince a customer that, like, we're here, we have 70 plus employees, we have 26 vehicles, we have $1 million worth of machines, a $1 million building. I've already went through divorce. I'm cool. like it didn't.
Been there, but undone that.
It got better for me. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, nothing can stop us. We've been solvent since week 9. That's something to really tell us. We've been
what?
solvent. So like
Yeah.
we've been making money and out of debt. Technically, we've been a positive company since week 9.
Green. Yep.
We've been good.
That's crazy.
Since week 9.
Yeah.
How many restaurants that, like, if you last 2 years you might make it. It's like, well, that was fucking 6 years ago. So,
Yeah.
it's almost the 6-year anniversary on the 31st.
Really?
So, it's like it's
Of
a
this
huge in 4 days. So, like, I try to eloquently put that, we're huge, and that's what you want. You want to go to the bigger places, whether it's like you buy at the Ford dealership and you buy a car, you're probably going to get pretty good service, and you're probably going to take care of you if something goes wrong or blah blah. You would hope so, at least. And then if you go by Jack's used car lot and they have 8 cars there, and 2 of
That's
them
my cousin, motherfucker.
two of those are missing tires, on some of their vehicles and stuff. You're like, I bet they don't do a 131 point inspection on all their cars they sell.
Don't be talking about Jack's used car lot. That's where I got the Fusion, and that's a beast.
Yeah, the Fusion did work out well.
That's a beast.
So, I mean, that's pretty much the end all be all. It's like the foundation of the company is so important when you talk about a giant investment, because these are usually the biggest investments that people are putting into their homes, bar a pool, one of the pool, not investment really, but, major reconstructions, 3 seasons room, whatever.
Kitchens, additions, and bathrooms.
Honestly, a roofing system like ours is probably it's probably gonna be on par at least with a kitchen or something like that.
Yeah,
So
close, yeah.
you're not gonna get the return on revenue that you will with a roof.
Oh, not even close.
We use that system. I forget what it's called, but a cost versus value, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah.
And we show people, like, if you do a bathroom remodel, if you do a kitchen remodel, if you do a bathroom addition, if you do a room addition, if you do
It breaks it down to the deck or a
what you will
new
recoup.
driveway
I
and
mean,
all sorts of
people
stuff.
recoup in 60% of the entire metal roofing project. Well, I mean, that's pretty cool. You spend $10,000, you're going to get $6,000 of that back when you go to sell that.
Huh?
Well, that's like spending $4,000.
Huh?
Well, that's pretty cool if it was $4,000 and I'm going to save, $50 a month or whatever during the summer months when it's going to reflect the heat, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's going to be a purchase that I can live with.
And you look at numbers like that, it's like in that scenario, a $10,000 metal roof, that's going to be a $6,000 shingle. You're going to spend $6,000 on a shingle or $4,000 net. You look at your net investment. That's what I always told people. It's not your initial cost, your net investment, because if you spend $10,000 and you get $6,000 back, you spent $4,000, like you said. If you spend $6,000 on a shingle, but you have to do it twice, and then at the end of 15 years with 2 shingle roofs at $6,000 a piece, you're spending way more. And that's assuming that your first shingle roof is in 15 years is going to be the same price in 15 years.
Right.
And it doubles about every 12 years is kind of where the thing is going as far as shingles go.
Double.
So, I mean, you're spending $6,000 and then 15 years later, you're going to spend 12 to 15 grand. So now you're in it for $25,000 for 15 to 25 years of roof rather than just getting a metal roof for 10,000 and
Calling it good.
50 years minimum.
Calling it good. And I think that what we do well is trying to show people that, and like the testimonials are a great way. People are more than willing to do testimonial videos for us, and they come out so well.
And we have way more. I mean, there's so many times where people are like, I just love the, and where they would be a great testimonial video, but we can't record everybody. You know what I mean? We would have 1,000 videos of testimonials.
And like our website, I mean, this is like one of the best people.
Oh, yeah.
And obviously we won't have a lot of sound or anything like that, but
It's been on shingle roof probably 15
And
years or better.
this guy was a doctor,
No problems.
and
The coloration of the roof was blotchy. There were certain areas
You
that
can
were
tell, like,
grayer,
it
there
just
were
been
areas
ill
that were
repair for
lighter,
years.
Did not look good. When they said it would be guaranteed for life, that was very, very interesting because I put shingles on this roof 2 or 3, probably 3 times. With that guarantee, lowering my bills on the house insurance, and then there was a $1,500 tax credit. Those 2 things also convinced me that this might be a very doable thing to do. Probably the number 1 reservation my wife and I both had was the fact that we didn't want it to look like a barn roof.
yeah,
Well, and you talked to the neighbor over here. And the
we should
neighbor
probably
across
talk
the
about
street.
that. One of the biggest things that we get into is they don't want to look like a barn. Where do you see the most metal roofs at? Barns. So like they don't want it to look like that.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go to a lot of these customers, they're like, no, I want to look like all my neighbors' houses and it looks clean, and like we're gonna be the only barn looking house, and stuff like that. You can't say that any of these. I like the sliders, my favorite. You can't say that any of these look like a barn, Like it's so crispy.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's.
I'm not sure if it'll say this is that customer's house right here.
Yep.
From that to that. I mean, yeah,
Unreal.
of course. Like, sure, we shot this in the fall, and the greenery is not as good, but like that is a clean metal
So
roofing
clean.
system. Does that not look like a barn? It doesn't look like a barn at all. And you don't want to buy a barn panel, and that's 90% of what they're putting on right now.
A lot of people don't know the difference, and so
And it's hard to educate people that online, so that's why we like to go to people's houses and do that.
because we're actually showing you physical samples.
Yeah. Like we don't, that doesn't look like a barn roof.
No, that looks slick.
So
Because when you started and you were looking at doing a certain profile, you kind of wanted to mimic a standing seam roof, right?
I
Is that
wanted
kinda the idea?
I liked the aesthetics of a standing seam roof. Who wants to put 10,000 holes? Look at 10,000 screws in the roof. But then finding everything out I did about the oil canning issues and stuff that you have with standing seam. They have longevity problems. They have installation problems. And I was not comfortable at making that switch at that time to a standing seam stuff. But I wanted to keep that look. And so I found something with the striations in our panel and the high ribs that do that, and then color matching the screws with the same ceramic coating they use for the metal, that color matched. And so you wouldn't see the screws or anything like that when we installed these. And that's why I was kind of looking to, they have one cool shot in this where you can't, if you look at all these, you can't see,
Absolutely recommend a steel roof anymore because of the.
you can't see the screws. That there is 10,000 screws on that roof, and you can see maybe some of these because of
couple.
shadowing, probably half a dozen or so right here.
But to
Everything else is hidden in the shadow of the seams, and they're color matched, so you don't see any of that.
Well, and to be fair, how many people are walking up to your house from this angle?
Yeah, I mean,
None of them.
we're definitely top down
And
for sure.
you don't see, like, when you're walking up, you see them even less. I mean, when you have a bird's eye view, you can see a couple of them, but like looking at it,
No, I
they're
always
all
tell people,
highs.
if you're at the end of your driveway, you won't see any screws.
Not a
If you're at
chance.
the end of you just won't see any. Like you can look as hard
unless
as
you're
you
playing
want.
I Spy with your buddy.
You can't
Can't do it.
see it. And so I really like that aspect, and I also like the serviceability of these things. I like the longevity of them, and I like that we wouldn't get no oil canning. Like that was a huge thing of mine. Is like people are going to spend what I would assume back then as a young 30-year-old an absurd amount on a metal roofing system, and if they had a potential that it would oil can, like, well, cool, it's lifetime. It's going to look like crap for life. And oil canning, I think we can just. I don't know if I went over that yet, but
Well, and that's something that the lifetime warranties on some of the companies that do a standing seam, they don't cover it. They don't cover
no
oil
one
canning.
covers oil canning.
And I would suggest too, when talking about warranties, read, if you're going with a company, obviously I hope you go with us, but if you're going with somebody else, read their warranty in depth. Don't skim it. Read every single word of it, because and I'm not saying every company, but a lot of companies hide a lot of stuff in there. I always called it the if, but, and when clause. If this happens, I'm not covering it, but if that happens, I'm still not going to cover it. So read your warranties.
I mean, I love the clean look of a standing seam
Oh,
roof.
yeah.
I really do.
Super thin ribs,
But-
yeah, slick looking.
But that waviness that you see in all
Terrible.
those things,
Terrible.
it's such a common problem because metal expands and contracts over time.
Yeah.
So when they install it, it might be just spot on.
Yeah.
Like it's going to look great. And then after a while, you just get these waves in here, and it's going to look like that forever. And there's no way to take it out. It's not an install problem. This was installed very professionally. I
Yeah.
guarantee it.
Yeah.
There's no way to really get it out all the way.
Well, and the problem is, like, even if you don't stretch the metal is going to expand and contract, like you said, with heat and cold, with the temperature changes. On a standing seam roof, the reason you don't see any fasteners or any screws is because they're seaming the two ribs together.
Yeah, there's still screws in these seams
underneath it.
underneath these things, and then they just roll over and press it together.
But it's all stretched. When they come over and roll it, it stretches it out super tight.
yeah,
And so then it gets cold and it shrinks. And then it gets hot and it expands. Then it gets
Yeah.
cold and it shrinks.
and your house settles, and there's
Yeah.
so many different factors and stuff. And like, I don't talk bad about standing seam because I mean, like, if you look at that, like, it looks so good. When it's not oil canning, it looks so good. But when it goes bad, it goes really bad, and there's no solve. There's zero solve for that.
No.
If you redid it again, you would probably have the same thing again. The building is not perfect. The building is not great. There's no straight lines, things like that.
And that goes back to it's not a long-term product. You not only do we want you to have a product that's going to last you forever, but not have any problems and also look good forever. You know, aesthetically.
This is still right here. This is a lifetime roof. This is a lifetime roof.
But it looks bad.
It looks terrible.
Yeah.
It's still a lifetime roof, and it was installed great. Blah blah. I'm sure by professionals. Usually, professionals only install standing seam.
There's not a whole lot of hacks installing this.
No, I mean because you really
tough.
have to make your own stuff on site, and it's tough. But like again, like I just
Specialized,
can't
for
get
sure.
over that when it happens. That
That's
looks great.
brand new install. That doesn't even have the trim on the outside yet.
But it's great. Like it looks fantastic. That might actually be a computer generated one. It looks so good. You know, they look really nice when it's not oil canning. But then again, that happens, and you know,
it looks like the back of a
Beat up old semi-truck.
18-wheeler.
Yeah. So that's why we don't install that. And if they come out with one that won't, I'll think about it. But until then, we're going to stick with what we do. I'd like to offer standing seam for sure, but it's just not applicable to what we do at this point in time. Because then I could have a truck with a coil on it and go do 6 jobs a day. Like, just roll out panels on site and be good. A lot of standing seam people make their stuff on site.
And it's pretty quick. I've never seen it done. Personally.
It's fairly quick. If it's a ranch house, it's fairly quick. You know, if it's a complicated house, then you have a lot of custom folds that you have to make by hand, which we make everything in the factory with these. I don't know. I call it like an origami. It's a bender, and it makes you can put the dimensions in, and it makes you a part that is exactly perfect for that roof. Whether it's a turkey tail, whether it's an end wall that's specialized, sidewall that's specialized, bigger J channels or bigger whatever you can, or smaller, any kind of chimney flashings for specialized chimneys and different pitches. We can make all that in house. When you're doing a standing seam, they don't make anything. You have to make it on site from a flat piece of metal, and that's really labor intensive.
Yep.
And so to do all that work and still have a roof that may oil can like that, there's nothing we could do to prevent that, and no way to warranty that. I'm just not interested.
Yeah. Well, because we want, like, it just goes back to it. We want to offer you something that's going to last forever and look good forever. Mm-hmm. Period. You know, if it's not a product that we can stand behind, then we're not going to do it. Easy peasy.
As we close up, like doing this podcast, is there anything that you think that you could add some insight into customers aside what we've already talked about? Is there stuff that you want them to know either about us, or you want to talk to contractors, or you want to talk to the people? Is there anything that you feel like needs to be said?
I mean, honestly, things go decently smooth most of the time. And I guess the message would be we do how many roofs a year, you think?
About 400.
400
plus.
or 500
400
is what I was going to say. So we do 400 or 500 a year.
Projects. I can't break it down
Projects,
to
Yep.
windows and stuff.
And I appreciate the customer that when I call them, I say, "Hey, I'm sorry for the miscommunication," because it happens when you have that many jobs. Miscommunications happen. No one's perfect. I appreciate the customers that are like, "I totally get it," whatever. So, I guess just a general thank you might be a good thing to say to everybody, because, especially with the window thing that I talked about earlier, we had, some backlogged windows big time. And a lot of the people I talked to were super cool with it. And they're just like, "I totally understand." And, we try our best to communicate every step of the way. And if you don't feel like we communicate everything, or if you have questions, or if you want to chat, the amount of times I've just talked to customers for 15, 20 minutes about their dog or their car or, their whatever, we're here for it.
And I
so-
like to build upon that, and we like to build confidence in the customer, of course. Like we do it
Yep.
from the sales part, we do it from the canvassing part, we do it from the operations, the office. We try to build as much as possible. The one thing that I think that we do really well is that if you finance a roof from us, which we do offer financing,
Yep.
if you finance a roof from us, we don't charge you. There's no payments and stuff. You'd actually owe us nothing until you're 100% happy.
Yeah.
So there is if you are worried about it all, we take all that risk factor of I don't know, what if they take my money and run? What if they don't produce the same quality that they said they were going to produce?
I have a
or-
leak and I have to make a payment on a leaky roof.
Yeah, all that stuff. It's like I really pride ourselves in not taking the money up front. And for cash, cash roofs, we just do 30%. Don't pay us another dime until you're 100% happy.
And I had customers saying, I just want to pay you so it's out of my
No,
account.
we
I'm
don't wanna
do
do
not
that.
I was like, when
You
when
have
you're-
the power now as the
you
customer
are
right
in
now.
the golden, you're sitting in the throne. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are the one that's in control. Don't pay me until you're 100% happy.
And it makes us as an entity work for it
Yeah.
and not take it for granted.
Yeah.
It makes the customer feel like they have a lot of control and a lot of power in
Yep.
that, and they're not out anything.
Yep.
They're going to get exactly what they signed up for. Or they're not going to pay us.
Yeah.
And
And
like
you shouldn't, right?
I
mean,
like that. I really like that part. It seems weird from a business owner standpoint. Like I would really like my money up front for cash flow purposes, but but like when it comes down to it, like I really like that we put the power in the customer's hands. If you have a contractor, whether it be for a bathroom remodel, kitchen, roofing, they're going to do something that is pretty extensive, and they need the money up front. Maybe a red flag. Maybe not always, but maybe a red flag. Have I gotten burned? For sure. But maybe it's a red flag that they need the money up front. They don't have the capital to do your project and take it all the way home without needing an influx of cash. And I think that's kind of a red flag. I would think it's a red flag. Whenever I had a deck installed in my house for, I think it was like 20,000. It was a giant deck, but for $20K. And he didn't ask me for everyone else. I had quotes for $67,000 for a
Oh my
deck.
God. Your
But
deck's huge.
It's huge, but I was like, I'll never buy a $60,000 deck. But
Never.
but he was like, it was like $20,000, and he's like, I was like, do you need money to start? Do you need money? He goes, nope. And that built so much confidence that dude was going to get it done in a timely manner. He was going to do it right, because everything hinges upon me giving it the thumbs up for him to win at all during this. He loses everything if he doesn't do it. I like that.
Well, and he has his shit together.
I feel like it adds a level of respect to the name. Like, if you don't need money up front for that.
Yeah, if you don't need the money to go to Lowe's and get my wood,
And
that
the
means
only
that you're
reason we
even-
charge 30% on the cash ones is we want to make sure you have money. Like, that's the only reason we
Correct.
take 30% down, is because, I could go do 30 roofs this month for people who are like, yeah, I'll get you at the end. And then it comes time to be like, I don't have $30,000 bucks. But like, this is going to be a problem. And they also have terrible credit. Now we can't get them financed, which happened before too.
Yeah.
So, but like, it really made me feel comfortable with doing a project like that.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people can do that unless you're at the top end of your game and they're good money managers and things like that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's...
I think you probably helped sales out a lot when you're like, no, don't give us any money, blah blah. You wait to the end and pay us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a... like we've been talking about. I mean, you shouldn't have to pay everything. I mean, we can go and make your material and deliver it and do the entire job without you paying us anything, like you said. We just want to make sure you have money. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't... It's... I'm trying to think of how many, like, percentage-wise cash we had.
Well, since you left the sales world, it's been a lot more cash deals.
Has
I
it?
don't know why, but we used to do like 70, 80%.
I was going to say
Finance.
20% cash, yeah.
And nowadays it's probably
60-40 maybe?
60-70% finance and 30-40% cash. You
And
know,
and that's great.
it's wonderful. I don't want you to pay interest on anything. I'd rather you. We get paid the same, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like I don't want you to pay interest on that kind of stuff. So,
Not if you don't have to, yeah.
not if you don't have to. And it's been a weird shift since COVID. I think people had more money being at home, not going on vacations, not being able to go buy things or
holding
do
stuff
things.
back,
And so
yeah.
like they really had a lot of money to do stuff to their house.
Mm-hmm.
They got to sit every day at their house during COVID and go, wow, I really hate X.
Yep.
This thing is leaking. Now I have the money to go do that stuff because I'm still getting a paycheck, probably, unless you were in the like food service industry. You know, like, and it really worked out.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's weird how COVID helped people.
It was a blessing and a curse at the same time. Thanks, Chris, for being on this episode and coming on. I hope that you come in
Need more apple juice.
in future episodes and stuff. If you guys have questions on how to run different parts of a manufacturing or an install-based basis company, you can message us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those things. We really would like to take people's questions and do more podcasts on those questions and cover those topics that you guys really want to hear about. But it's been fun.
And we're all open books. I mean, we don't hide nothing
There's
from
no
nobody.
secrets. There's no secrets to this.
I mean, that's why we're doing this too, because it's like
It's
we
easy
want you to
be
know how to do it.
above- It's easy to do this open aired conversation because there's nothing to hide. We have really good people. We have a good product. We have great customers, and we're a solid company. And there's nothing that we are hiding behind, or like there's no magic behind the scenes. We're
Well, and-
making metal in the factory, we're delivering it to your house, and we're installing it, and people are happy. That's the end of story.
And and to be fair, be successful. You know, I mean, if you want to take all the trade secrets and go do it in fucking Tennessee, go do it in Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we don't want you to be. Go do it. It's it's doable. We did it.
doable. It's done it, and I've done it on a community college education that doesn't even exist anymore. So
You want to do a shout out or no?
no, we won't do a shout out to Brown. Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Later.